We are truly overjoyed at Sir Lewis's well-deserved and long overdue victory today, and fully expected it, given that in our previous video, we had showed how Sir Lewis had developed the art of staging his practice sessions to outmaneuver Toto Wolff and George Russell. So, we knew going into the final run of Q3 at Silverstone, that he was fully prepared for the Toto-enabled George beating him to pole, and he was setting them up to show the world how he rises above all obstacles. But before going further to explain why we knew that Sir Lewis had played rope-a-dope with Toto and George, we invite those of you who haven't yet done so, to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the notification icon, to be notified when our next video is uploaded. To begin with, once Sir Lewis had established a 0.559 second margin over George in Q1, we all knew Toto and Mercedes would pull out all the stops to overturn that advantage. It was therefore no surprise to find that in Q2, George had managed to turn things around and gain 0.047 seconds over Sir Lewis. With an astonishing turnaround of 0.606 seconds, George was able to improve his time by 3.383 seconds, while Sir Lewis was only able to improve his by 2.777 seconds. In Q3, George was able to go last and finish 0.171 seconds faster than Sir Lewis to gain pole position. George was able to improve on his Q2 time by 0.904 seconds, while Sir Lewis could only manage to improve his time by 0.78 seconds, but critically he had done only 25 laps while George had done 26. So, we expected to and were therefore not surprised to see hammer time come into play during the race. Sir Lewis had given himself the options of overtaking George on track or during the pit stops. So, if there was a problem with his pit stop, then we will all know why. We all know that Sir Lewis is the best tyre manager in F1, so we can expect him to eke out a few more lap advantages during the race. Throw in changing weather conditions during the race, as the expected rain, gave the king in the rain another advantage. So, even the gods of F1 are showing the world that Sir Lewis is their beloved son, in whom they are well pleased. Furthermore, Sir Lewis was careful to say during his post-qualifying interview that if the team worked together, then they could keep Lando and the rest behind them at the start. This was a clear nod to his expectation that George and Toto would attempt to take a line that would compromise his start and leave him vulnerable to attack from behind. So, Sir Lewis was clearly letting it be known that he is ready for any and all eventualities, which unfortunately, he wouldn't have had to, if Toto was not playing dirty. He overtook George early in the race, to deny his team the chance to use pit stop strategy to sabotage his race in favor of his teammate. Mercedes had no option but double stack both cars, given that Sir Lewis was the lead driver. If it had been the other way around, the team would have sabotaged Lewis by making him pit one lap after George. We have revealed in previous videos that Sir Lewis has shown that he is faster than George during the race, and it is the team messing around with him during practice and qualifying that puts George ahead at the starting grid. Well, at his favorite Grand Prix, in front of his home crowd, he has shown the world how great he is. With the eyes of the world on the supposedly developing duel between the young guns, who are allegedly the two most popular drivers in F1, Sir Lewis swooped in to steal the show. To break the record for the most wins at a single circuit. To extend his record for the greatest number of wins. And to shut the doubters up. As we showed in our previous video, the much-hyped duel between Max and his lapdog failed to materialize, because Lando does not have what it takes to confront Max in the first place. He eschewed two opportunities at the start and end of the race to throw down the gauntlet to his rival. It was bad enough that Max cruised past him at the start of the race, but it was astonishing that he went off the racing line to wave a charging Max past with 3 or so laps to go till the end of the race. What could his rationale possibly be for this capitulation? Was he selflessly urging his busy mate through, so that he could have enough laps to catch and overtake Sir Lewis, and thereby extend his lead over his lapdog. Astonishing. Watching Lando bleating in the post-race interviews was surreal. Watching interviewer after interviewer mollycoddling him by not pointing out that perhaps meekly surrendering position to your leading rival is not what champions do, is just amazing. Why do you think Max's other lapdog, who conducted the first post-race interview, did not question Lando's grit for meekly surrendering to their master? Their master, who had a reputation for not being able to hold his nerve during close-quarter racing. Why would Lando spurn two opportunities to help his master enhance this well-deserved reputation? We have already provided videos on how Charles and Sir Lewis helped Max to deserve this reputation. But to recall, it was in 2021 that Max lost several close-quarters contests against Sir Lewis, and required a cheating Marcy, who had been exceptionally lenient to him during the season, to rewrite the rules mid-race in Abu Dhabi, to grant him the victory and the title. Max was able to cruise to 2 successive titles, in 2022 and 2023, as the FIA continued to demonstrate their bias for the budget cap exceeding Red Bull. But Sir Lewis, the real deal, 8th-time world champion, is doing enough for people like us to be able to decipher what he is having to rise above at Mercedes. He is having to outmaneuver his team's systemic efforts to sabotage his race, from his practice sessions, through qualifying to the main race. But he has risen above his own team's effort to sabotage him, to claim his first of what will be many victories to come. One just has to look at how Toto Wolff struggled to hide his disappointment at Sir Lewis's victory to appreciate how bitter he is. One just has to see how Channel 4 cut away from Sir Lewis's post-race press circle interview, to appreciate how bitter they are. As is always the case with fraudsters, they always condemn themselves. On this occasion, Toto let it slip that he was party to some of those moments of self-doubt that Sir Lewis had shared with him, between Abu Dhabi 2021 and now. Can you imagine what an opportunity this presented to a duplicitous Toto, who was pretending to be Sir Lewis's supporter, when in fact he was relying on that self-doubt to help protect Schumacher's legacy? All you have to do is compare Sir Lewis's father's response to that same question. Toto was outmaneuvered when Ferrari swooped in to give Sir Lewis the boost that he needed. Perhaps, this explains why Toto has been moving so madly since Ferrari came along. He thought he was on the verge of easing Sir Lewis out, only to have Ferrari snatch victory away from him, Abu Dhabi style. He thought they had successfully planted George in a position to win the race, but he knew Sir Lewis was the GOAT, and George was only producing the results because of the team manipulation, otherwise why is he thirsting after Max? Any driver that can hand Sir Lewis the beating that George is giving him, should be top of any team's list, so why are other team principals not wooing George, given the disrespect that Toto is showing him? What should be clear to all, is that Sir Lewis is still the driver to beat in Formula One, should he have a competitive car. Congratulations to the GOAT, for this fantastic victory.